guys, how's it going? It's your boy MKS here, back in another video, and welcome to the third penultimate part of my list on Dyslexics to produce scare things like mask costumes, Halloween mask costumes, and things like that, and things like Friday the 13th and whatnot. I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, I wasn't sure whether to mention this or not, but it took me about 4 attempts. I thought I'd only try and take 2 attempts, and I thought third time lucky, and then it took me 4 attempts to make the thumbnail for my I don't have to make it, but click, and then I have to wait. It goes in 3 seconds, so I have to be real quick. And now I went to that pose, which supposedly, what I've heard conspiracy theorists say, is like the horns of Baphomet and 366 on it, because it was supposed to be done on the 13th, although it's not the 13th now. But I decided to do those scary, and then I want to do really scary poses with my eyes and all that kind of thing, and my face generally. But not that I need to, but I love to do like the scariest poses I can do in part 4. I'm hopefully, and the scariest pose I can do, which I was trying to do anyway. Like I was trying to do a really creepy smile, so just because it was like the scarier side and all that kind of thing, just so like it'd be a scare or whatever. Anyway, probably I don't really need a mask for Halloween, but anywho, these are pointers number 21 to 30, and I think there's anything else I was going to say in the intro. I hope you enjoy it. And here goes. So number 21, I pretty much always say 21 again, saying it goes 21 again. I wish I had a better memory a lot of time. I wish I could remember things to do and things like that, so I don't get myself in trouble. Although I'd love for robots to do those things, I wouldn't have to do them, but things I want to write and things I want to get on with, and videos I want to make, and certain things, just remembering points I want to mention, or things I could say or do or whatever. But I'm also thinking like 21 again, like memories and regrets I have, like regrets about not starting a business when I was young. Always dream about ideas and not dreaming about ideas but not putting them into practice. I think that when you listen to older people, you can learn a lot. Like I go to a coffee morning, which is a tea morning after mentioned, but there's mostly old biddies, as we would say. But a lot of the time I'm one of the few, if not the only gentleman there. Well, not gentleman, but the only bloke there, the only male there. And most of the time it's old people. Sometimes there's a few blokes there, but again, they're mainly old. There's not many young people going in, or people, well, I won't say young, closer to my age. I'm quite an old folk myself, but they're even older than me. But yeah, I think you can learn a lot from the old, although most of the time they just do chit chat. And so I should be careful what I say. I don't mean to backstab them or whatever, but they tell old wives' tales or whatever. I'm not giving on to anyone, but yeah, I think you can learn a lot from the old. Like an entrepreneur, Gary Vaynerchuk, who goes by the name Gary V for short, who many of you might have heard of. I'll say many, as if I get many viewers, but just in case one day I go viral, that'll be cool. But anyway, that's another thing I regret not going viral or not monetizing my channel even, and that kind of thing. And I might have offended or bored or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, Gary Vaynerchuk talks about like when he was younger, he used to hang around with older people. And he goes, there's an advantage that he got was that he learned a lot from older people, like about regrets. So yeah, I do have a lot of regrets, like silly things I've said and done, my naivety, especially when I was young, not taking action. Like even my cousin tried to tell me to take action, and I wasn't very good at it. I used to dream a lot and think that I'm this dyslexic creative with loads of ideas, but I guess you put them into practice, not just dream them up. So yeah, those are some of my regrets, and I feel like forgetting things I want to say and do and whatever, as I say. Also unfinished business generally, things I wanted to work on. I'm starting up MKS Enterprises when I turned 40. Turning 40 was a regret, I think, and there's probably a few other things I could say, but I'm going to move on. I might cover them later. So today, before I move on to point number 22, I just must say today I wanted to wake up. I did manage to get my butt out of bed, and the rest of me about 10ish, which isn't too bad considering I couldn't sleep all night, and I went to sleep about 4 o'clock. So I've got behind about 5 or 6 hours, I think, max sleep. So for me, that's not too bad. I just hope I won't suffer from burnout, but if I'm passionate about my ideas, hopefully that can see me through with lots of energy. But yeah, so I wish I could have woke up early, but I kept, one annoying thing is when I wake up and then go back to sleep and wake up and go back to sleep. I wanted to write a few things and all that kind of thing, but I'll probably cut it later. So moving on to point number 22, talking about like I wish I could remember certain things. There's certain things I probably wish I could forget, and there's, well, I definitely wish I could forget, and especially embarrassing things I've said and done, or things like that. And as a certain song goes, like, can never be as sweet as you want to be. But I think it's like Sod's Law, because I, and unfortunately, reality I don't think can be as good as a fantasy, but generally speaking, but whilst I say I wish there were certain things I could remember, like it's like the things I wish I could remember, so I seem to forget, and the things I wish I could forget, I seem to remember too much, and I wish I could just get on with things. Like I saw a title of a book, but I don't really read books, but it says sumo, and I read a brief bit about it, and it says, so get up and move on. Like, will this matter in the future or whatever? So fretting about things too much and all that kind of thing. That's an interesting word for it. Stressing, worrying, or whatever. I think that's what it means. But yeah, moving on, number 23. One of my, I know I'm going a bit, well, I just remember that I've not really mentioned too much about dyslexia, but just generally, like, some of the negative thoughts again, because it was the 13th, this was supposed to be finished on the 13th, but I didn't get around to finish it again, unfinished business. But my fears about people suffering, like, even when I think about biblical teachings about like narrow is the path, and about hell and damnation and most of the world suffering and things like that puts me off religion quite a lot. Like I sometimes say, a lot of time I say I believe in God out of fear rather than hope a lot of time. But I don't like other people or animals or living things to suffer. And my imagination sometimes imagines either me or other people suffering really badly, and I try and forget about that sort of stuff. I don't know if I want to go into too much. I'm not going to go into detail about or even explain like some of the fears I have, but like people suffering, whether that's from injuries, natural disasters, or just generally suffering, poverty and that kind of thing. And I have a lot of fears about AI and robotics and how it's used. Now, to me, AI could be and should be the most freeing up thing in humanity. It should, if you would excuse the expression, but set us free to do what we want to do and things like that. But at the same time, I think human greed, selfishness, and that kind of thing, I think will stop us from make us freer, which I think is what it should do. But yeah, I have a lot of fears about AI, and I hope to talk about Celtic, because Celtic are playing. So I'm hoping once I finish part 3 and 4, all being well, I'll get those out of the way, and then go on to talk about Celtic and that kind of thing, all being well. So I'll be planning to do that. I wanted to write some stuff on Celtic, but I'm short on time. I've got about an hour or so to make 2 or 3 videos. So my fear, I guess, first world fear, but I fear Celtic losing. But hopefully I'll be proven wrong. But I really hope the Celtic manager can prove people wrong. And I suppose it would show what black managers can do, and also what, I suppose from his point, he could show like what black managers and also managers who have managed in the MLS, Major League Soccer in America, obviously, and I'll say obviously, if you know, you know, I guess, but and also what French managers can do, I guess. But moving on, number 24, I fear not being able to use my time as well as I'd like. But I think point number 24 is like this 24 hours a day. Another fear I have, like people say there's whether I like it or not, they say that I wish there was more time, but people say our world took a rotation in less than 24 hours. I think it was last year at some point. So some people say that's proof of biblical prophecy or whatever. I know people in Islam would say similar about Islam, but about us not having even 24 hours in a day. But I wish we had more, like 30, 40, 50 or more hours, so I can get all my ideas done. I'll probably just waste them anyway. But think about 24 as well. I think of like certain days, and again, on these videos, I'm thinking about like Dyslexics making, creating / designing, producing basically, and that kind of thing. Masks, costumes, decorations, and things like that, which I talk about, or maybe on the 13th of each month, especially when it falls on a Friday. and on Halloween and things like that. Number 25, I guess I fear injustice, like um, to me, I would love for republics. That's one thing that puts me off religion, like when you have to say Lord, or being a boss, and things like that, because I prefer more freedom. I don't. It feels very confusing to me. Some of it I find a bit corny as well, although I'm probably very corny myself, but cheesy, corny, or whatever it is, or whatever. But like people say, in Christ, or whatever, and things like that. He's a good man in Christ, or whatever that means. But I kind of know what it means, but not 100%. But things like having to call Jesus Lord, having to worship, and things like that, those are the sort of things that put me off Christianity or religion generally, things like that. And like having so many rules and laws. And as I say, I believe in God out of paranoia rather than hope in many cases. Although I wouldn't want to put one religion over another. I wish God would prove his existence in a good way by supporting my writings and videos and things like that, removing distractions and helping me to achieve things. But yeah, I fear, like, say, for instance, monarchies being richer than republics. I'd rather republics be richer because I prefer republics. I think that monarchies, I guess it's because I suppose they're unvoted for, but not just that. More than that, I think it's the fact that one gets so much money, which feels so hypocritical to me. Because, like, here in the UK, and I'm sure around the world, like, if people are on benefits, some countries don't even have benefits, worth it or whatever, but here in the UK, there's a big discussion on benefits. I'm sure it's in America and other parts of the world as well. At least some of them where they have welfare of some sort, and people say, like, people, whatever, you get a job and all this sort of stuff, but we give millions every year to one royal family, which to me feels a bit hypocritical. It's a bit of a dilemma when some of those royal family members are dyslexic as well, because I want to support dyslexics, but then I don't support monarchies. I support republics, and my fear is not being able to support them. But I guess the opposite to that would be to be able to support republics. That would be the opposite to my fear, I guess, in a way. I know some of my fears are first world problems, you could say, but like about salty and Italian teams winning. But moving on, number 26, as I say, I fear lack of justice. Like, to me, God should, in my opinion, support. I wish God would make everyone happy, but every person, every living thing. But I think God should bless, like, countries that are colonized, and if anything, punish countries that colonize others. Well, that's easier said than done, but obviously because people who live in those countries, like, let's say Britain, if God punished Britain for colonizing other countries, or America, they're still POC, that people of colour, in other words, that went through colonization, so we would have suffered twice, I guess. Not that I personally went through it, but it affected the whole world, I guess. Yeah, moving on, number 27. I also fear people not getting rewards. Like, I think it's really annoying. I wouldn't say I hate, because I don't want to hate anyone or anything, but I strongly dislike it when people do good and don't get rewarded for such. I wish God would reward every good intention and good action. I think intention should be rewarded as well. Like, I often think of nowadays, recently I've been thinking about the example of when my mum sent me to tuition, and I say, oh, I was very good at tuition. I had 3 tuition teachers, and I used to think, probably, I'm sure at the time I must have thought my mum hates me or something, or she'd get angry because I stole food from the cupboard, or she just hates me for no reason, or whatever. But looking back, I'm sure my mum had very good intentions to try and improve me. In fact, I'm 99.9% sure, almost 100% sure, really, 99% sure that she had good intentions for me to do well. I feel they were misplaced for someone with learning disabilities, dyslexia or whatever. It would probably be a lot better to put money into a trust fund or whatever when I get older. But who knows? Maybe if without a crystal ball, I don't know. Maybe I would have been even worse at academia and even less confident without that sport. So I don't know. But to me, for people with learning disabilities, it's kind of a waste to teach us in a traditional way. We learn in a different way. That's the thing about dyslexia and related conditions. But that's my opinion. But I still think my mum should be rewarded for having a good intention towards me. And I think every good intention people have, not just for me, obviously, but for everyone, should be rewarded. And I wish it was, but my fear is, I guess. And these videos are about my fears. Is that good intentions won't be rewarded. Like, I think Celtic winning is a form of justice, as they came from people who are oppressed. They do a lot with charity and things like that, and our rivals can often be very selfish or selfish. Number 28, I fear when things seem like they're going right and then they'll go wrong or something like that, or what if things seem like they're going right long or things like that. Obviously, these are videos I generally speak about the opposite to what I want to really happen. And number 29, again, I fear like never getting around to unfinished business and not being able to put my ideas into practice, like building networks and things like that, and being able to express myself and things like that. And even to be honest, again, for some people this is probably a first world fear, but fearing about my paperwork or my videos being deleted or things like that I've worked on not being put into action, or not being able to make good use of those things, whether it's my writings or my videos or whatever it might be. And number 30, also running out of things to say. But yeah, and as I've said before, like if I fear offending people and boring people and things like that, and never getting to monetize my channel, never putting those projects into action, like things like Dyslexics supporting each other on social media, I fear those sort of things. But anyway, I'm out and peace and love.